Hello and welcome to MCC TV International Show. My name is John Dabeet. I'm the Business Department Coordinator. I teach economics and statistics, and also I host this show. This show is about the MCC advising process here at our campus and also at our district. So there's no better individual that can talk about the advising process at MCC than our own Molly. Molly, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Good, John.
Good to have you. Well, just to give our audience an idea about who is Molly, can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. My name is Molly Elizade, and I've been an academic advisor for almost a year now, but I have been in education for over 20 years, believe it or not. I know I don't look that old, but I'm originally from Muscatine, and I grew up here, but I also have lived in Japan and California and Iowa City. So, and I'm currently working on a PhD in higher education and student affairs. So,
thank you. It's good to have you with us, Molly. One question before we start talking about like what you do at MCC and talk about the advising process and so on. Let's go back maybe 5 years or 4 years. I know that you used to work, I think, at the high school.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you just give our audience also some idea about what you used to do there and all the programs that I know that some programs you started, those programs and so on. So if we can talk about that a little bit, please.
Yeah, so after teaching English, I was approached by the administration in Muscatine to create an academic internship program. And so it was an immersion internship program in which students who were juniors in high school, it was part of their academic curriculum, to actually go into workplaces, businesses, and organizations in Muscatine and intern for 3 weeks. And so they had first-hand real-world experience in their careers of interest, and they were graded on that. So for 3 years, I created and developed the Mentor Muskie program, which was very, very successful. It was folded into the G2 programming that was a pilot program at MHS, which is no longer there. And so I was let go last year because of that program ending.
Okay. Well, if you give me an idea, and also our audience, how many students used to be involved in that program?
Well, the first year, I believe I placed 52 students in internships during the same 3 weeks in Muscatine. And I have to say, I thought it was going to be impossible, but because of the businesses and organizations, just awesome professionals in the community, I was able to place 52 students in immersion internships. And I don't know too many people who would want 16-year-olds, you know, kind of messing around with their stuff at work, but I found phenomenal opportunities for students at all the major corporations, small and large business, nonprofits, not-for-profits, and they got a great experience with a mentor. Most of them still stay in touch with those adults, and what research shows about those types of experiences for students is, first of all, it makes their academics a lot more applicable, so they realize what classes they need to take and they need to be successful in them. They realize that they can do those jobs, that it's possible, but they may need a college degree to achieve those types of jobs. It teaches them real life, like professional skills.
Confidence. I think confidence is part of it too. I mean, they will start most probably, 16 years old or 17 years old. If I'm doing that at this age, I don't think I will be very confident in doing things like that. And once you start trying that, I think, that makes a huge difference in their experience at the school level.
And these internships, they had to create like a project, a real world project that they were going to present, like the business was going to actually use. So it wasn't like they were filing and getting somebody's coffee. They were working side by professionals in the business and industry. And I was amazed at some of the projects they came up with, and a lot of their mentors were amazed at the capabilities of what students can do if you let them go for it and unleash their talents and abilities and creativity. Yeah, so I still do that. I work also at Quad City Career Connections, but it's not just in the Quad Cities. I'm also the academic or internship advisor and coordinator for Muscatine County now, and that's housed under the EICC. So right now I'm helping Columbus Junction High School with what we call career boot camps. And so every Friday in April they'll have, 3 different types of careers and speakers from 8 to 11 in each one of those careers. So they're going to have a lot of good exposure at the high school there. So I'm still doing it.
I'm glad to know that. You know, I know it's, you know, they don't have it at the high school anymore. The program is sad not to have something like that. But the loss is our gain. So we are very happy to have you with us here at MCC. And, you know, you're one of my favorite people that I work with, especially around the advising area.
That's nice.
Molly, I mean, describe your day. You come here like at 8 o'clock.
Today or yesterday?
Today, yesterday, tomorrow.
I never know.
A month from now.
Yeah.
I mean, you come here, let's say at 8 o'clock. I don't know what time you leave. Describe what you do throughout the day, please.
Okay. Well, yeah, I come in at 8 and I leave at 5 sometimes. Sometimes I leave much later. But, you know, my responsibilities vary, but my number one priority is seeing students. Anytime they need to register for a class, drop a class, add a class, they want to talk about career possibilities, and we do some research in that direction. If they're having any personal problems, sometimes they'll come in. Sometimes they just come in for candy. But working with students is my number one priority. I'm in charge of advising the nursing students. So I see a lot of pre-nursing students, either who will stay on our campus or eventually transfer to Scott. I also am in charge of registering and advising the baseball players and the softball players here. Other responsibilities I have are coordinating orientations. We have the Connections Scholarship orientations for the high school students starting tomorrow. And we're starting orientations for all new students who want to join us in the fall, and we're still registering for summer classes. So I spend most of my day doing that and then sending emails to students, communicating with students, checking up on my students who maybe aren't doing so well in class. So my focus is students and, you know, making sure that people like you and other faculty on the campus have the information they need to best serve their students as well.
And I, if I may add one more thing, I mean, and this is really true about MCC. I mean, we really, especially the advising office and also everybody at MCC, I mean, we really work very close with our advisee. I mean, so it's not just like, okay, well, I need to meet with you once a semester for half hour or 20 minutes, and that's it. I mean, it's more like a process that we go through, and that's, I mean, it's not something that usually you see at colleges and universities. That makes MCC definitely a very welcoming place to students, to especially the new students, because you know, as someone who's finishing the high school and going to college, that experience is always might be a scary experience.
Right.
So and I'm sure you deal with that too. But I want to go back to something you said, Molly. I mean, you said you are advising nursing students, for example, or pre-nursing. Well, for our audience, just to explain that process to them.
Okay.
Is it different, for example, when you advise nursing student than business student or English major student? Or can you explain that process so that our audience also get a good grasp about the differences between each of the majors that we offer?
Sure. Well, MCC offers transfer degrees, and they also offer workplace degrees, diplomas, and certificates. So we have the AA degree, and that's primarily for students who want to transfer to a university or college in more than likely some liberal arts field. It's really nice to get an AA here because it just transfers as a package to the university. It gets all those gen eds out of the way at half the price. Sometimes even less than that if students have scholarships or if they've taken classes in high school. Concurrent enrollment's very popular now, and that's something we can talk about in a little bit. So the AA degree transfers pretty nicely to any college or university. We also have the AS, which is more a STEM field. It does also transfer, sometimes depending on where the student's transferring. Some classes they may need to take or on campus when they transfer, but those are mostly for STEM fields, and those are considered 2-year transferable degrees. And then programs like nursing or business management, those are considered AAS degrees, and those prepare students to go out directly into the workforce. And so to become an RN, which is a registered nurse, it would be considered an AAS. And so once that student has completed the programming, they can go and work in the field. Same with business management. You can get a business management degree and specialize in either marketing, small business management, entrepreneurship, or marketing. So within that degree, you can specialize, and that would be considered an AAS, and that student goes on and into the workplace. Degrees or diplomas and certificates are smaller, just more applicable to a skill you're trying to learn, probably to better yourself at work individually. So all of those programs we offer here, and what I try and do as an advisor is really find out where the student wants to end up, and if they're not really sure, we take those classes that can kind of transfer in between the different types of awards.
So for you as an advisor, academic advisor, which is much easier for you to deal with? Because like for example, when you advise a student that is going the AA route, the options are much more than, for example, nurses. I assume it's a very structured program.
It's very structured.
So first semester you have to take this classes, second this class, and so on. So is there a difference? I mean, like you feel like, okay, well, I rather deal more with the structured kind of classes versus the AA, or you still like to do it?
You know me well enough. You know how I'm going to answer that question. I love to do it all because everything's different. That's what I love my job. Like I can't imagine a better job for me right at this time right now, because I first of all love meeting with students of all kinds and all backgrounds and all interests. So I like the challenge of learning different programming. I've been learning a lot about engineering transferring. I have a guy from HNI who's actually trying to get his engineering degree online at ASU, but he's taking pre-classes here because it's so much less expensive. Same thing with another student who will eventually transfer to Iowa in engineering. I've learned so much about calculus, pre-calculus, college algebra, the whole route.
So you can teach that course now.
Yeah,
right?
so I like all of them. I guess with the AA and the AS, students have a lot more freedom to choose what they want to take within different categories. Some are required, like the English, Comp 1, Comp 2, those are always going to be required. But, this semester we're offering a global issues class. And so, that's an international perspectives. And that's another thing. We offer different classes every semester so students can get a broad range of those types of experiences. But in AA and AS, they have a little bit more freedom to choose. So, yeah, I like advising all of them.
And in a way, you almost answered my next question, because I was planning to say why Molly sees herself more here at MCC than somewhere else, for example. It could be, a business, it could be an industry. I mean, besides, you mentioned that definitely, and I know that, I can see that you like to work with students, help students, and so on. Beside that, anything else why you would like to be here?
Yeah, well, I grew up in Muscatine, and there's a little bit of a legacy here. My dad was actually the basketball coach that won the 3 championships, so him and his team are hanging in the library hallway. So, there's some tradition there. I've known Bob Albee since I was a young girl, so he was good friends with my brother. So it's almost like a family atmosphere here. I teach composition and English classes as well, and that's how I kind of introduced myself to MCC, and it's what inspired me to pursue a PhD in higher education, because when I started teaching here, it was 2008 when GPC had the lockout, and there was a lot of economic turmoil, and I would have, a 60-year-old guy in my class, working on a degree to change careers, along with a 19-year-old girl, that was working at the country club and just hanging out for the summer. And what I learned was, even in that dynamic, students have a lot to offer each other and a lot to share. And so I think that's another reason why I like being here so much is I can relate with the students on a more personal level because I grew up here myself. And at the same time, I just appreciate the diversity that we have here on campus. And I always like teaching, so I will be teaching a class this summer. People think that's crazy because I'll work from 8 to 9 every Tuesday, Thursday this summer. But I love it.
You can handle that.
I love it. I mean, I choose to do it, not necessarily for the money, but because I really like to stay connected.
Yeah, that is true. And you just brought another issue, which is diverse population that we serve here at MCC. And diversity, I mean, for our audience, not necessarily means that someone from a different country.
Right.
I mean, that's part of it. But
Right.
diversity for us can be, well, some of our students might be disabled, so how do we cater to this group of people? Some of the, we have male, we have female, we have different socioeconomic, again, groups of students and so on. So how do you, and I assume in your position, you see all.
I see all.
You see international students, you see male, female, young, old, whatever.
Yeah.
So what did you learn from all these groups in your job?
Well, what I know first of all is they want to be successful. And so, my mantra in life for a very, very long time has been do what you can do to help others be successful. And so that's one thing I know about diversity. They all have that in common. They're coming to us for help, they're coming to us for education, and they want to be successful. So I always start with that main frame. But yeah, our diversity services are, we have Ben Huntington is in charge of our international students, so they have a support system there. Jody Beltran has a success center for students who may be struggling in classes, either because of a diagnosed disability, learning disability, or that maybe they're struggling in class. They can have free tutoring services there without a documented disability. What I find an issue that I run into the most that I would like to somehow solve is having daycare provided, or a short-term daycare or babysitter or something like that provided for students who maybe are in a clutch because their babysitter's ill or something fell through, or for students who are just taking that one night class a week. That seems to be a barrier for a lot of students to take classes. But we have a great diversity on our campus, and I think students, for the most part, are very appreciative of that. I think it brings a lot to their classrooms to see people of different backgrounds and lifestyles, and we have a student group called All Kinds of People, and they're having a second chance prom this weekend. And so there are a lot of opportunities through student activities such as intramurals and the activity that we had today, Diversity Day in the Student Center. So I think bringing students together is the solution to breaking down those barriers, but also I think maintaining their individualism is important and showing them that we appreciate that on our campus.
Good, yeah. Well, in regard to instructors, I mean, instructors, part of what they do is also they advise students, so they become also part of what I call the advising process as a whole here at MCC. Well, what kind of information, what kind of updates, what kind of training do you guys do in order to keep those instructors up to date with the information and with the transfer programs with the colleges, universities around us?
Well, we do that in a few ways. If something new is happening, or we have a new class, or a class is dropped, or there's new information, Robin Mitchell, our registrar, usually sends official word out. If any further explanation is needed, then I will shoot out an email. I often have faculty calling me and asking me questions. We also have, before Advising Day, we have an Advising Day in the fall and spring, in which students have the day off, but faculty advisors have the day to meet with those students and talk with them. We do some trainings for those faculty members who may be a little bit rusty because it only happens twice a year in Mass, so it's pretty daunting. But any updates are shared there. I keep a folder on MCC's public drives that all faculty can access, And so it has all those major forms and class descriptions and things like that that they can access. And then I also present at Roundtable, either in person or on video. I know I sent in a video one time when I was double booked, which often happens in my life. But so, if faculty choose to attend those things, they're going to be well informed on the advising processes. But usually, it's putting out that fire is what generally happens.
And that's very important.
It's
that
important.
Is very important.
Yeah.
When instructors are not dealing with this issue on a daily
All the time,
basis.
yeah.
I mean, things change, and
yeah.
Updates becomes very important issue.
Uh-huh.
What's the story with Dave? I was thinking that definitely I would ask you this question. You guys came up with like very nice video around advising, and
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. Perhaps some of our audience even watched that video because
Yeah.
you placed that on Facebook and other
Yeah.
places too. I don't know if it's local TV also.
Yeah,
if you
it
run
was.
that online.
I think it was just a YouTube video. We're trying to figure out new ways to access students to actually get them to get the information. In this day and age, everything's just really quick. A text or whatever. So we tried something different to advise students to come in and get registered early. And Chad and I kind of had a discussion, and we came up with this idea: the early bird gets the worm. Our mascot is the cardinal. And Dave's going to kill us for talking about that, but
I'm sure he would like us more.
I talked Dave into putting on the MCC Cardinals mascot outfit, and we just kind of in a couple days had this storm over spring break of people who got involved and wore their MCC T-shirts, and I bought a big worm, and Dave dressed as a bird, and it was just a really positive video encouraging students to get registered early and be that early bird to get the worm, and I'm still waiting for some to come in. But it was a lot of fun, and I do know students had a positive reaction to it, and we set up times where Dave could put on the costume and walk around campus, and students wanted their picture taken with him. And Dave, he's a fantastic advisor, just phenomenal. He works 24/7 a day, for these students. And it was kind of fun to see him, step outside the box a little bit.
I myself enjoy watching that. I did watch this several times already.
Yeah.
I mean, it just really, it's a great message.
Yeah.
In a very fun way
Yeah.
of sending this message or
Yeah.
delivering this
Yeah.
message to our students.
Well, and I want our students to know that we're approachable,
Exactly.
even if they're having trouble or they need, their things aren't going well, they can still come in and we can talk it through. And I just wanted all of our staff, because a lot of our staff is in that video, just to show us that we're people and we like to have fun and we want to help them.
Well, in the beginning, when you introduced yourself, Molly, you mentioned that you visited Japan. Can you just give us an idea about when was that? Like, were you recent?
Okay.
Before? What did you do?
Well, I taught in West Liberty as an English teacher for 5 years when I first got out of college. And as you know, West Liberty has quite a diverse population. And at that time, they had a large Laotian and Vietnamese population as well, along with Latinos. So, just this idea of diversity and working with students of various backgrounds sparked my interest, and I went to the International Job Fair at UNI, which is in February, and I came back with a job to Kobe, Japan. And so I went to Kobe, Japan in 1998. It was just a couple years after they had that huge earthquake.
Yeah.
And so I worked at a school called Canadian Academy, and it was an American an international baccalaureate school. It was a lot of expats over there. I think we had a Nestle headquarters, Procter & Gamble headquarters, Ford headquarters, Asian headquarters. So I had a lot of American students there, but I had a lot of students from all over the world. And it really opened my eyes. I highly encourage anyone to travel anywhere, just because it helps you see mankind for what it truly is. And that's generally very, very good, positive, helpful, nice people. So I taught there for 2 years, and really, really enjoyed it. Did a lot of traveling.
And you know what? I have been dealing with you for almost a year, and this is the first time I know that.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't
yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
So would you go back?
I would love to go back.
Would you do that again? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I did a lot of traveling. It was pre 9/11, so you know, it was a little bit more safe. Yeah, it was just different traveling back then, and I felt comfortable to travel on my own. I went to Indonesia and Hong Kong and Guam, and I just kind of traveled with my free time over there as well. So yeah, but a great experience. I still stay in touch with many of the students, and you know, they were from India and Brazil and just everywhere.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that
Now you know.
Now you're sharing more
Yeah.
and more stories. I'm glad
I'm not going to
that I
share
asked
too
you to be on
many.
this show. Yeah. Well, Molly, if some of our audience would have questions about still advising process, they need to learn more and so on. How can they reach you? I mean, can you share that information with our audience, please?
Well, I'll go. Can I just give them the quick process?
Yeah.
I usually they're going to meet with me, but I'm going to give them a list of homework. So, and this is what it is. If you've been anywhere before, send your transcripts to MCC. Have them send your official transcripts to MCC. If you haven't gone to another institution prior to us, either way, you need to apply. So you go to EICC.edu, and in the upper right-hand corner, there's an apply button, apply now. Just a short form, get basic information. Students need to have either taken the ACT or the Compass test so that we know where to place them in particularly math and reading classes. And then finally, students should check into financial aid, fill out the FAFSA form. It's fafsa.gov. You should never have to pay for filling out any paperwork in order to earn money or scholarships, just so you know. You need your tax information, but students can now apply for their FAFSA or financial aid online. And those aren't necessarily loans. A lot of people think, oh, I don't want to get loans. You know, depending on your income, you can have free access to money in the form of Pell Grants. And so fully awarded students can have up to $5,300 a year towards their education that they don't have to pay back. And that's, you know, you can go part-time or full-time, but those are kind of the steps. And then you call 288-6001 and schedule an appointment with Molly. And I would love to meet with you and just talk about, you don't have to sign up for classes, but I'd like to talk to students who are thinking about it. And I'm very, very honest. So if I feel that it's not the right time, or there might be some things you might have to get in order before you start so you can be successful, I will let you know that. So, you know, like I said, I want people to be successful. I don't want them coming and, you know, struggling and dropping out.
Yeah, that is definitely the case. Yeah.
But those are the basic steps to getting started in MCC.
Thank you. As we're approaching almost the end of this show, I usually give our guests a minute to say whatever they want to say, whether things related to the subject that we're talking about, which is advising, or anything that you would like to share.
Okay.
So it's your minute, Molly.
Well, I'd like to talk about concurrent enrollment in high school students. A lot of high school students do not know the ins and outs of taking college credit while they're in high school. Anytime a student is enrolled in a concurrent class at the high school, those grades go on your college transcript, and it can have effects on whether or not students can access financial aid. So if students are failing classes or withdrawing from classes, or forgetting to drop classes and earning Fs in classes, that can prevent them from getting financial aid. So if you have a student in high school, or you're in high school taking classes that you know are concurrent enrollment or MCC classes, please do your best in those classes so that when you grow up a little bit and you get that transcript, it doesn't affect financial aid. But I would take advantage of that as much as possible. I had a student yesterday who's graduating from L&M in a month, and she will only have 8 classes left to take before she earns her AA. So a year from now, she will start at the Tippie College of Business. So that's how fast you can accelerate your college degree. And it's so much less expensive if you do it that way. And you know, the cost of school is outrageous. And we have such a great institution with so many fantastic teachers who care so much about their students, advisors who care about students. Like I said, it's like a family out here. And I highly encourage parents and students to consider MCC, not because I'm promoting it, but because I really believe in it. It's just an awesome alternative to going to a major university and basically taking the same classes and earning the same amount of credits. So that's my minute, John.
Thank you, Molly. I'm very glad to have you with us today and to share all this information with our audience and also myself too. I mean, I'm learning something new about you. I mean, for example, that trip to Japan and working there for 2 years and so on. So millions of thanks for sharing your story and also the story of what I call our family, MCC, with our audience and everybody else. So thanks a million again, and hopefully we'll see you in the future on different also episodes here talking about perhaps other issues beside advising. But as I always say, you know, if you have any question and or comments for me, you can call me at 563-288-6064, or you can email me at jdabeet@eicc.edu. Till next time, Muscatine, bye-bye.